Yeah.
Helen and I?
Yes.
Oh, yes, darling. Yes.
We didn't date, we lived together.
We lived together,
wow.
yeah.
Was 2. So I was carrying him, showing him the set at lunchtime.
Before Liam Neeson became Hollywood's ultimate action hero, he was living an entirely different kind of movie. And it wasn't on screen. It was a love story that began in armor, ended in heartbreak, and shaped the career we know today. And now, decades later, Liam's personal life has taken a turn no one saw coming. For years, Liam seemed to live in quiet solitude, staying out of the headlines. But this year, everything changed. First came the news that he'd sold the sprawling New York penthouse he shared with his late wife.
From an unknown street fighter to the Iron Man that Hollywood respects Liam Neeson is a powerful symbol of world cinema.
Natasha Richardson, a home filled with decades of memories. Then, whispers started spreading about a surprising new romance with one of the most talked about women in Hollywood. But while the media focuses on what's happening now, the real story, the one even longtime fans don't know, goes back to a chance meeting on a movie set in the early 1980s. A meeting that would change Liam's life forever. For more than 20 years, Liam Neeson's home wasn't just an address.
He went back to work just days after Natasha's funeral, and he's worked nearly non-stop ever since.
It was a part of his story. Perched on the 28th floor of a towering Upper West Side building, the 4,524 square foot penthouse stood like a quiet fortress above the city. From one window, Central Park stretched out like an endless green sea. From another, the Hudson River shimmered under the setting sun. On stormy nights, lightning would split the sky while the city lights below flickered like stars. It was here in 1999 that Liam and Natasha Richardson began a new chapter together.
I had read the script sent to me by my agent. I thought it was beautiful.
They had found the apartment in a state that didn't quite fit them, so they transformed it, combining 3 separate units into a sprawling, warm, and elegant home. It wasn't about the luxury. It was about building a place that felt theirs. Within those walls, the rhythm of their lives unfolded. Mornings might begin with coffee by the window, the city still waking beneath them. Evenings were filled with the voices of their 2 young sons, echoing through rooms lined with photographs, books, and souvenirs from their travels.
We had a scene together. It was cut though. Do you remember?
Okay. Thanks for seeing me. I'm here because I'm thinking of...
It was the one place where Liam could drop the Hollywood persona and simply be Dad. But after Natasha's sudden and devastating passing in 2009, the apartment changed. The warmth was still there, but so was the silence. The kind that lingers in every corner, in every object that once belonged to someone you loved. For years, Liam held on to it. Friends say it wasn't just because it was beautiful. It was because selling it felt too final, like closing a door he wasn't ready to close.
I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom.
Now he finally has. The sale, for just over $10 million, made headlines in the real estate world. But for Liam, it meant something more personal. It was a release. A way of acknowledging that while the past will always be part of him, he's ready to make space for what comes next. Those close to him say the decision didn't come lightly. It was one of those moments where practicality and emotion collided. He wasn't running from memories, he was making room for new ones.
What seems to be the problem? As I said before, I've got full-blown AIDS.
And if recent events are any indication, Liam's next chapter may be just as surprising as the ones before it. It didn't take long after the penthouse sale for a very different kind of headline to ripple through Hollywood. Liam Neeson, the man known for fiercely guarding his personal life, suddenly found himself at the center of a rumor mill. And this time, it wasn't about a movie deal, an award, or a charity gala. It was about her, Pamela Anderson, a name that has been part of pop culture for over 3 decades. an actress, activist, and style icon,
Liam is, I hope you don't mind me, 70 years old.
Stop it.
Looks like a baby.
Pamela has lived her life in the blinding glare of the spotlight. But this wasn't about the Pamela people thought they knew. This was about Pamela away from the cameras. The one who values quiet conversations over red carpets, who chooses small, intimate dinners over paparazzi-packed premieres. The whispers started on the set of The Naked Gun. On screen, their pairing seemed like a playful twist, an unexpected blend of action hero intensity and bombshell charm. But off-screen, something real was forming. Crew members spoke about seeing them laugh between takes.
Liam Neeson's journey from gritty action star to luxury celebrity lifestyle icon is pure inspiration.
Leaning in close to share private jokes. There was no grand display, no tabloid-ready scandal. Just two people quietly enjoying each other's company. Insiders say the connection ran deeper than physical attraction. Both have spent decades being followed, photographed, and analyzed by strangers. Both have been through love stories that played out in public, sometimes with heartbreak, sometimes with controversy. That shared experience, according to friends, created an instant understanding.
Let's just make out. You inspire me as an actress,
They get each other, one source claimed. They both know what it's like to have your life turned into headlines, and they both know how to tune it all out. Of course, neither Liam nor Pamela has confirmed the relationship. In interviews, they've sidestepped questions with a smile or a quick change of subject. But in the age of social media, actions often speak louder than words. They've been spotted slipping out of quiet restaurants, strolling through city streets at odd hours, and even exchanging those small, almost imperceptible touches that couples give without realizing anyone is watching.
You met Muhammad Ali, is that right?
Oh, my gosh. I met Muhammad Ali in 1980.
For fans, this was a plot twist they didn't see coming. Liam Neeson, who had been single for over a decade after the heartbreaking loss of Natasha Richardson, now possibly finding romance with one of the most recognized women in the world. It was the kind of story that set comment sections ablaze. But as captivating as this new chapter might be, it's not the first time Liam's love life has caught the public's attention. Decades earlier, before the blockbuster roles, before the action hero image, he was part of...
And then when I was doing Taken 2 in Istanbul, the call to prayer, the Muslim call to prayer
a
started.
love story. So unexpected and so magnetic that people still talk about it today. A romance with a woman he once described as an extraordinary human being. And it all started on a medieval movie set. Long before Liam Neeson was Hollywood's go-to action star, before Natasha Richardson, and decades before Pamela Anderson, there was another woman who completely stole his heart. And her name might just surprise you. Helen Mirren. Yes, that Helen Mirren, the Oscar-winning actress.
And we have not spoke since we walked out of this cinema until we've got here. We have
known for her commanding presence on screen and her sharp wit off it. Today, she's celebrated as one of the most respected performers in the world. But in the early 1980s, she was also one half of a whirlwind romance that Hollywood never saw coming. Their story began on the set of Excalibur in 1981. Liam was 29, a relatively unknown actor at the time, still trying to find his footing in the industry. Helen was 36, already established and in full costume as Morgana Le Fay when Liam first truly saw her.
Haven't you ever heard of the Miranda rights?
What? I'm pretty sure it's Carrie that writes. Miranda is a lawyer. Charlotte's...
And by saw her, he didn't just mean noticing a co-star. He meant that moment when the air shifts, when everything else blurs out and you just know. But here's the twist. This wasn't actually the first time Liam laid eyes on her. Years earlier, he had watched her perform on stage as Lady Macbeth. In that moment, he remembered thinking, she was so sexy, so human. It was the kind of impression that doesn't fade. So when he saw her again, this time walking toward him across a film set in medieval armor,
come with me to the cinema as someone who hates comedies to see the new Naked Gun film starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson.
It felt almost like fate tapping him on the shoulder. He later joked in an interview about that first day on set. Can you imagine riding horses in shiny suits of armor, having sword fights, and falling in love with Helen Mirren? It doesn't get any better than that. What neither of them knew at the time was that this wasn't going to be a short-lived fling. This was the beginning of a relationship that would define years of their lives, and in many ways, change the course of Liam's career.
Did anyone else notice that The Naked Gun has the exact same plot as Kingsman? Not dogging on this movie, The Naked Gun was
The Excalibur set was a world of chainmail, swords, and smoke-filled battle scenes. But somewhere between the rehearsals and the retakes, a real-life romance was taking shape. Helen Mirren had a little-known habit when she liked someone. She would imitate the way they walked, just for fun, and always behind their back. One day, Liam caught her doing exactly that. His walk, exaggerated, playful, and impossible to mistake. He turned, their eyes met, and that was it. No guessing, no wondering. He knew she liked him, and she knew that he knew.
People hyping and glazing it out the wazoo about it being like the best horror movie ever. It reminds me of Long Legs, how like
From that moment, things moved fast. They started spending more time together between takes, sharing jokes, swapping stories, and finding excuses to linger after rehearsals ended. It wasn't the kind of Hollywood romance built on grand gestures. It was built on small, unspoken things. How she'd glance at him from across the set, how he'd find a reason to walk past her just a little slower than usual. Soon they were inseparable. They went on road trips, camped out in tiny tents in the middle of nowhere, and even laughed their way through torrential downpours.
You know what really gets me about this?
Just one for me, sir. You can personalize it to me.
Helen later told the story of one trip where the rain didn't stop for days, drenching everything, including the two of them crammed into a tent far too small for a 6'4" Irishman. And somehow, she still called it one of her favorite memories. Helen also took on a role in Liam's life that went far beyond romance. At the time, Liam's career was still finding its footing. He was talented, but struggling to land consistent work. Helen, already respected in the industry, believed in him.
Well, without getting too heavy into politics, we're all living in dangerous times. It's nice to have a giggle every now and
She
again.
encouraged him, introduced him to the right people, and even helped him land his first agent. Liam later admitted she was instrumental in getting his career off the ground. For Liam, this was more than love. This was partnership, support, and belief at a time when he needed it most. But even the strongest bonds can be tested when life and ambition pull in different directions. For nearly 5 years, Liam Neeson and Helen Mirren built a life together. A mix of red carpet glamour and muddy camping trips, late-night talks, and early morning call times.
It's a big, well-budgeted studio comedy that is trying, I think mostly successfully, to make you laugh in any way.
But as much as they loved each other, the balance between them began to shift. Helen's career was soaring. Film offers were coming in one after another, her reputation was solid, and her name was well known far beyond theater circles. Liam, on the other hand, was still climbing. His talent was undeniable, but the roles weren't coming at the same speed. Slowly, the gap between where they were professionally and how the public saw them began to grow. For Liam, that gap wasn't just professional, it was personal.
Overall, out of 10. You know what? I'd actually give this one a 10 out of 10 overall.
He later admitted he struggled with the feeling of being in her shadow. Everywhere they went, she was the star, and he was Helen Mirren's boyfriend. He wanted to stand on his own, to prove himself without leaning on her success. Helen saw it too. And as much as she loved him, she understood that the man she cared for needed to build his own career without her name clearing the path. That realization came with a painful truth. Staying together might mean holding him back.
What's that saying? Birds of a feather flock together.
That's that situation right here. So if you guys haven't...
So, with a mix of sadness and respect, they decided to part ways. There was no scandal, no dramatic fight. Just two people who cared deeply for each other but knew the timing wasn't right. Helen would later call the split difficult, but praised Liam for handling it with what she called complete grace and elegance. And Liam never forgot what she did for him. In interviews years later, he credited Helen with helping him get his first agent and giving him the confidence to chase the roles.
In breaking news, 72-year-old Liam Neeson has revealed that he will be stepping away from action films
That would eventually define his career. The breakup may have ended their romance, but it also lit a fire in him to succeed on his own terms. In the end, walking away wasn't the end of their story. It was the beginning of a different kind of relationship, one built on mutual respect, and the kind of history you don't just forget. After the breakup, Liam and Helen didn't drift into bitterness or fade into awkward silence. Instead, they went their separate ways with an unspoken agreement.
Liam Neeson has held a clean record throughout his career, but now he's being called out and bashed heavily for defending a longtime friend. Liam Neeson and Sharon Stone.
The love had been real, the memories mattered, and neither would tarnish what they'd shared. Liam threw himself into his work, slowly climbing from bit parts to leading roles. Helen, already an established name, continued to rise, building the kind of career that would make her one of the most respected actresses in the world. Along the way, they each found love again. Helen with director Taylor Hackford, Liam with Natasha Richardson. But the mutual respect between them never disappeared.
Liam Neeson, he is still trying to sell his apartment in New York, is back on the market with a $2 million.
Decades later, in 2018, the world got to see that respect firsthand. Liam and Helen appeared together on The Graham Norton Show, sitting side by side as if no time had passed. There was no tension, no guarded small talk. Just two people who'd shared a part of their lives and could now look back with humor and affection. Helen didn't hesitate when Graham asked about their relationship. "We didn't date," she corrected. "We lived together for 4 years. We were a serious item. Lucky me."
Hi, I'm Liam Neeson. Children in Gaza, Ukraine, Lebanon, Haiti.
The words were warm, almost proud, and Liam's smile in that moment said it all. Then came a little revelation. Liam shared that the exact moment he knew he was falling for her was seeing her in full Morgana Le Fay costume on the Excalibur set. Helen, visibly surprised, admitted, "I never knew that. You've never told me that before. It's amazing." The audience laughed, but there was a tenderness in the exchange, a reminder that some memories never lose their spark. Whatever the reasons for their split.
Can you finally put to rest what football club you actually support? Because Alan Brazil keeps on asking from The Breakfast Show.
It was clear that the years had not eroded their friendship. They had managed something rare in Hollywood, to take a romantic relationship, end it with dignity, and carry forward the connection that made it special in the first place. After Helen, Liam's path led him to another love, one that would define him in a completely different way. In the mid-1990s, he met Natasha Richardson, the daughter of acclaimed actress Vanessa Redgrave and director Tony Richardson.
Do you know about Liam Neeson's dating history? His wife died unexpectedly. Back in the early 1980s, Neeson dated...
Natasha was an actress herself, with the kind of effortless charm that could light up a room without even trying. Their connection was immediate. Liam later admitted that Natasha's warmth and quick wit disarmed him completely. By 1994, they were married, and over the years, they welcomed 2 sons, Michael and Daniel. Family life became his anchor. The man who was often away on film sets always made it a point to come home, to be present, to make sure his sons grew up knowing their father was more than just the character on the movie poster.
You guys, you dated at one point.
Yeah. Helen and I?
Yes.
Oh, yes, darling.
Yes.
We didn't. Then, in March 2009, tragedy struck. Natasha suffered a severe head injury in a skiing accident. At first, the situation seemed manageable. She even walked away from the slopes, but within hours, her condition deteriorated. Liam rushed to her side, but the news was devastating. She would not recover. In the days that followed, he made the painful decision to take her off life support. Even in that grief, there was a sliver of comfort. Natasha had been an organ donor, and in her passing, she saved 3 other lives.
So, I'm the last one to find out that Helen Mirren and Liam Neeson were a thing back in the day? Oh, so I didn't know
Liam would later say that knowledge gave him something to hold on to in the darkest moments. The loss hit him hard. Friends and colleagues spoke of how deeply it shook him. For a time, he turned to alcohol to numb the pain, but eventually he pulled himself back, determined to be there for his sons. In interviews, he spoke of visiting Natasha's grave regularly, of still feeling her presence in the smallest moments. For Liam, the years after her death were a mix of resilience and quiet mourning. Work became his distraction.
Everybody talks about the films all the time. I mean, I would have thought somebody like you would find it a bit difficult to get a tune.
But the absence of the woman he called the love of my life never left him. In the years since Natasha's passing, Liam Neeson has carried her memory quietly but fiercely. His eldest son, Michael, even chose to honor her in the most personal way by changing his last name to Richardson, ensuring that her legacy would live on, not only in their hearts, but in their very identity. It was a gesture Liam fully supported, a sign that while grief changes shape over time, love doesn't fade.
I think I read you in an interview talking about how her voice, because you think of the Queen as a constant, but you were saying her voice has changed.
Her voice has changed hugely.
Liam himself found small ways to keep moving forward. He never stopped working, not because the roles defined him, but because the work gave him focus. Off-screen, he chose a life of relative privacy. No flashy romances, no endless tabloid appearances. Just a father, raising his sons, finding his own rhythm again. And yet, for all the chapters in his life, the early romance with Helen Mirren, the deep love and devastating loss of Natasha Richardson, and now the whispers about Pamela Anderson.
So Liam Neeson was on the latest episode of Atlanta, and he was at this cancel club with Brian.
There's a through line that's impossible to miss. Liam Neeson lives his real life with the same intensity he brings to his roles. When he loves completely. When he grieves, he carries it with grace. And when he's ready to turn the page, he does it quietly, on his own terms. Decades after that first meeting on a medieval movie set, Liam and Helen remain friendly, a testament to the fact that not all love stories have to end in bitterness. And decades after Natasha's passing, her influence still shapes him. In the choices he makes, the roles he takes, and the father he continues to be. Now, with one chapter closed, the penthouse sold, and another possibly beginning, Liam seems ready for whatever plot twist life has in store. Because if his history has taught us anything, it's that Liam Neeson's greatest stories don't always happen on the big screen.